Hello and welcome to the final episode of the Daily Aintree podcast this week, brought to you by SBK, covering all the action at the Grand National meeting up in Liverpool. We hope you've enjoyed the previous two episodes. This is the final one of the week, so tune in for the next 15 or so minutes where we'll provide all of our selections, including reiterating our Grand National picks. There is a separate Grand National podcast on the SBK YouTube channel. I think it's around 30 minutes long, where we go through every single runner in the field, provide a little synopsis about their chance, and then come down on our selections. So if you wanted a more in-depth preview of the big race itself, head over to the SBK channel and you can find it. It was posted earlier this week. This podcast, we're going to be talking about all of Saturday's racing, featuring on the four main races, and then we're going to throw the door open to see if there's any other fancies on the card. Myself, Tom Collins, hosting, and joined by Ross Millar as ever. Let's get cracking then and start talking about Saturday's racing straight off the bat. This is a pretty good card. It's a tough card. There aren't as many short price favourites on Saturday as we've seen on the previous 2 days at Aintree, but hopefully we can find some winners. The first race is a grade one. It is the Mersey novices hurdle 155. First race we're talking about, not on the card. Lulamba runs here instead of on Thursday. Who saw that coming? I definitely didn't. I thought they'd be keeping to that easier looking race on Thursday. They step him up in trip. Will that suit?
I think it probably will, TC. I think it's a really smart bit of placement. I mean, as you know, I'm a big fan of these weight for age allowances. I think it's if you've got the right horse, it can really work to your advantage, particularly when they go over fences as a 4-year-old. I can really see compelling case for him. Again, it just comes down to the fact he's a young horse. He's a big young horse as well. I just wonder what that mammoth effort in the Triumph will have left in the tank for this. It's reluctantly that I go against him, but he's just short enough that I want to look elsewhere. I couldn't go anywhere near Regent Stroll. I mean, I'm staggered they're running here, actually. Having tried to put him back together, I'm sure that's a bit of owner pressure that's led to this. And you see a couple of interviews with Paul Nicholls, and it's, he's a far better mind than me, but it's exactly the thing I came down on. He says the horse gets boiled over. Saturday of Aintree, I would argue that Saturday of Aintree has got more atmosphere than any other meeting, maybe bar the Supreme, for the first race on Cheltenham of the season with jump racing. I could see him absolutely losing the plot. 2 mile 4. I mean, if they win, good luck to them, but I don't want to be near him. So I can take one again at a bit of a price, and it's a horse I really like, and I think he's gone under the radar this season because he's fragile. Horace's Pearl for Fergal O'Brien. 5 from 5, yet to taste defeat. 3 bumper wins, including at this track last year where he beat Tripoli Flyer. Now, I think people thought that Paddy Brennan didn't give Tripoli Flyer a great ride. That might be the case. But this horse was finishing like an express train. I think he's a smart animal. 2 from 2 over hurdles, 1 at Huntingdon. That was a pretty Mickey Mouse race. Then 1 at Newbury last time. And he absolutely kicked the horse of Tom Simmons out of the way called Lador. Now, Lador's only rated 123, but he is worth every pound of that 123. He's a real solid performer, and he doesn't lie down. He's really tenacious. Horace's Pearl went past him like he was going backwards. 1 by 6 lengths. It could have been 16 lengths in a canter under Connor Brace. He pulled quite hard on that occasion, so I think a stronger pace and a better race will suit him. We know he likes the track. I think 8 to 1 is a decent each way price, particularly if Lulamba and Regent Stroll underperform. So yeah, I'll go with him at a price.
Yeah, interesting. Horace's Pearl generally seems to be overlooked when a Fergal O'Brien runner runs up against a Nicky Anderson horse or Paul Nicholls horse. So you're going to get a good odds, as Ross has already talked about there. Lulamba is obviously the talking horse. He will take a lot of the money just purely because he was so hyped up before Cheltenham and then ran pretty well at the festival. But I think it's to be seen just quite how good he is. And a quick word on Regent Stroll. You said you couldn't have him at all. I'd read a Paul Nicholls stable tour where he said he's the best chance of the week. A first-time hood. I don't know about that one, Ross.
Yeah, and he's changing his mind, isn't he? Because I saw something yesterday. He said Stage Star is the best chance of the week. So, yeah, I mean, you're putting a lot of faith on the hood, aren't you? And even when you go back, I mean, that Newbury win that looked so good at the start of the season, you can poke plenty of big holes in that form. He is multiple champion trainer, and I try really hard not to think I'm the cleverest person in the room, because very rarely am I. There's a lot more about it than me, but I'd be staggered if they can pull this off. I really would.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he won the race as well. I think Lulamba's way the horse to beat in here, and Horace's Pearl could be the unexposed type that could take that step forward. I have no strong opinion from a punting perspective. I was going to take a chance and put up Royal Infantry at a huge price. I think it was around 33 to 1 in the entries for this race, but he wasn't declared. So I'll sit this one out. We'll move on to a very tricky handicap up next, the Freebooter handicap chase at 230. SBK make Ultima winner Town, the 7-2 market leader. It's 10 to 1 bar. Are they right to put Lucinda Russell's horse at so short in the market?
I'm not sure. I mean, what's he up? £15, is it? I think he's up. And he got an absolute thumping for that win in the Ultima. And I think you have to factor in he was clearly a very well handicapped horse in the Ultima. I thought people went a little bit over the top given how little weight he carried there, and he did get things out in front. And whether he's going to get the same here on a sharper track. I quite like Peaky Boy at 10-1. I'm never a mad fan of, punting John Joe O'Neill trained horses and putting them up because you just sometimes don't quite know what you're going to get. But he was bought out of Nicky Henson's yard, ran into Reynoldstown his only start for John Joe O'Neill, and it clearly didn't work. He'd not been there long. I'm happy to put a line through that. There's just the one. Well, he's a good horse. He was unbeaten over hurdles, likes good ground. He ran a shade disappointing on his final start for Nicky Henson. He's beaten 3 lengths by Haiti Cleurs, but he was giving that horse £9. Haiti Cleurs now rated 142, having won the National Hunt Chase. For sure that he improved himself for going up in trip. But Peaky Boy gets him off here off 139. They said after that run at Cheltenham that the ground was too lively for him. I don't buy that because he was a 2-mile 4 winner over hurdles at April at Cheltenham, and I was there that day and the ground was plenty quick enough. So I don't see the ground being an issue. He's 10-1. My town could well still be progressive, and there's plenty in here that have got chances, but I'll go Peaky Boy at 10-1.
I kind of like the view here of taking on Maya Town from an each-way perspective. In these big field races, it rarely pays to play a horse at around 3-1, 7-2, and especially when there's such a big gap between the favourite and the other horses in the field in terms of their price. I feel like it's way more profitable and a much better punting kind of strategy to play a horse at double-figure odds here. So I like that. I'm going similarly down that route, but with a different horse. I like Cruise Control, who's around 10, 12-1. At the time of recording. This horse won the event last year, so we know that he handles the track. We know that he handles good ground, and I like that he's been kept fresh for this race. 100 days off the track after a pretty disappointing run last time. Maybe we'll see him in much better light at Aintree. It certainly wouldn't be surprising to me if we do. Our third feature race that we'll talk about on Saturday is the Ivy Liverpool Hurdle at 3:05 p.m. T Hoopu is back in this race. Will he get compensation for that Stayers Hurdle second? I don't know. He's a short price, Ross.
Yeah, I don't have ever backed T Hooper, and I don't suppose I want to start now. You talk about prices. What price we got on Strong Leader? When I was looking, I couldn't believe in the week that he wasn't far closer to favourite. He's at his best on a flat track. His Newbury win at the start of the year, I thought, was pretty much up there with his best performance, given how he went through the race, and he jumped pretty well. He ran then at Ascot. That didn't really suit him, and they said that they found a wind issue. Went to the Cleve. We know Cheltenham is in his track. Ollie Murphy was very open in saying that they were going to go there to give it one more try. But Sean Bowen said that he simply cannot handle going downhill and just takes the legs off him. They then missed the festival. They come here fresh. Second start after wind up. He won it last year in really good style. T Hoopu, okay, he's in there. Kitzbühel is probably the lurker because you don't quite know how good he is, but he jumps up a long way in trip. Ollie Murphy, 35% winners to runners for the last 14 days. I don't think he's dropped much below 20% all season. I habitually sort of lob in and lob out of looking at winner to runner percentages, and I don't recall seeing Ollie Murphy below 20% this season. He's had a fine season. This has been the plan. I like horses coming here where this has been the target. I think he's a decent price. T Hoopu, I get him wrong all the time because I don't give him the credit that I know he deserves, but sometimes you have horses like that you just don't rate and everyone else does. T Hoopu is one of them, so I'll take Strong Leader to beat him.
Yeah, I'm just going to emulate your thoughts. I'm with Strong Leader. We're getting 8-1, I believe, on Strong Leader. It's a huge price for a horse that loves the track and, as you say, wouldn't have been suited by conditions or the venue last time out. We're going to see a much better Strong Leader. And if he replicates last year's showing in this contest, I think he'll be tough to beat, even if T Hoopu or Kitzbühel rock up and produce their best. Insofar as T Hoopu, I feel like that's unlikely. I was very strong on him at Cheltenham. I didn't think the ground there would be a problem. It's going to be even quicker at Aintree. So I don't know. It's a little bit of a worry for me, especially considering he ran so well at the festival in defeat behind Bob Ollinger. Okay,
TC, now, just before we jump on to the next one, so 8-1. A lot of people would go 8-1 each way price. What would your my thinking would be? I think he'll win it, so I'm not going to waste half my stake each way. I'd rather be wrong and felt like I'd taken a good price.
Well, when it comes to each way betting, I'm not the biggest advocate for it. Look, I will bet each way on numerous occasions throughout the year, but it's not usually my way of punting. I tend to like betting each way when there's a short price favourite who is vulnerable. or you've got a massive price horse at 25 to 1. I like to have an each way kind of perspective, but I need the win part as well. I wouldn't just bet a horse to place. In here, Strong Leader, to me, feels kind of all or nothing. He's not a horse that ever finishes second or third, really. He either produces a great display and goes and wins the race, or he's a little bit lackluster and doesn't produce his best. So I'd be playing to win as well. But I understand that there will be some people at home that like playing each way just for kind of a safety net. But it's certainly not my way of thinking. You like him just to win, you said, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be the opposite to you. I don't mind playing each way, you know, and having that safety net and getting the small gains. But I completely agree. I think 8 to 1, I think he'll win it. So why waste half my stake, you know, trying to save my blushes, if you like. If I'm wrong, I'd just rather be wrong and blush.
Yeah, I like it. Confidence. That's what we like to hear on Strong Leader from both of us in that selection. Right, now we will move on to the Grand National at 4 o'clock. As I talked about at the top of the show, there is a specific Grand National podcast on the SBK channel if you want a more in-depth preview of the race. But because we've got that, we'll just briefly go through our selections again. It is worth noting that SBK is offering a free bet builder on this race for all customers. You've just got to opt in to get that. 3 legs required for the bet builder, choosing horses to win and to place in the race and trying to, you know, get a return that way. Ross, for those who maybe didn't see the big preview of the National, who do you like?
Oh, what? So we're not allowed to pick another 3 and then just flag up the right ones. No, I've not deviated. I like Hewick, I like Highland, I like Dufflecoat. I think they're all neat jumpers. They're all going to like this ground, particularly Hewick and Highland. Hewick is the class horse. I made the point on the preview pod that, you know, he's a King George winner. Iron Maximus, who won it last year, would have no chance of winning a King George, and yet he has to give £5 to Hewick, who undoubtedly has a season geared around this. I just hope they don't put too much water down, enough water to make it safe, not so much to take it to soft, because it's spring racing. The soft ground horses have had their ground through the winter. Highland, I liked it. Kempton last time that he got buffeted around, didn't get a great ride, but he met with traffic and he had to sort of grow up a little bit. I think that'll suit him well. And then Dufflecoat just came slightly from left field as I was going through the form. I really liked what he was doing in the National Hunt Chase. Under 12 stone, I thought he was hitting top gear when getting brought down 2 out. Probably wouldn't have won, but I think he'd have gone close. He goes from top weight to bottom weight here. Yes, it's a better race, but I think this trip is within range. And then if I was going to be allowed a 4th one, having already put up Manila Kakuna, Anti-Post at Christmas, and one other whose name escapes me, Vanillier after Cheltenham, Percival Lagawa, I've seen a lot of smart people talk about him. He's actually bred by friends of ours about half an hour up the road, and Arthur, my son, has met Mrs. Percival, the dam, and so he is as excited about a Grand National as I've ever known him, which pleases me greatly. So I'd love to see Percival Lagawa go close, and I do think he's got a nice profile, loads of big handicap experience, so he'd be 4th on my list at the moment.
Might as well give you the whole field at this rate, Ross. Yeah, but the main 3 are Hewick, Highland, and Dufflecoat for Ross. Good shout out there for Percival Lagalwa, and also the other 2, Vanillier was one of them from Cheltenham, who I'm sure is going to be super popular based on how well he ran in that cross-country chase. As I've already said in the preview pod, I've just got 2 bets this year in the Grand National. Iroko is my main selection. He's an obvious candidate, isn't he? He's been kind of kept aside for this race all year. I say kept aside. He's been on the track 4 times, but he hasn't really shown his best, whether that's the horse's decision or the connections. Well, that's up to you. I think we're going to see the best of Iroko in this race in the Grand National. He'll be well suited by the ground. Hopefully he stays the trip. He's generally a good jumper, and I think he's got a great chance off his mark of 152. And the other horse I like is Grange Clare West. Much bigger price. I think the 3rd string or 4th string maybe for Willie Mullins on jockey bookings, but Brian Hayes has ridden this horse a couple of times this year. On his best form, he is very capable. You just have to look at that form that ties him in Galopin des Champs to know that. He is high in the handicap, but he's a strong travelling horse and very unexposed after just 11 starts. That's the Grand National covered. Go check out the podcast as well, where we talk about all the horses. You can scratch all the reserves as well. The 34 that were at the top of the entries remain in the declarations, and they're the 34 that will be on the track. Okay, that's the 4 featured races done then for Saturday. It's time for any others worthy of a mention in the remaining 3 races, or maybe even a different card elsewhere, because it is a Saturday and we always look to our best bets elsewhere. Maybe I'm going down that route. You could probably tell. Ross, any for you?
Yeah, just one TC. I mean, I like the look of the Malcolm novices chase. I think it'd be really interesting. I'm a big fan of Caliph de Burley. I didn't buy that he didn't stay in the Silly Hours last time. To me, he stopped too quickly for it simply to be stamina. His Newbury run, when he won off a fairly low handicap mark, he had to work quite hard on good ground actually to get to the front. I'm not sure that this is going to work out to be his trip and his ground over time. But I love the horse. Be interested to see how he goes. So my only other bet on the day is in the 120 Navajo Indy for Tom Sivens and Gavin Sheehan, who I think we've both liked throughout the season. Won very nicely at Newbury. Then went for the Betfair hurdle and just got taken off his feet. I mean, he was virtually half a furlong behind, turning across the top at Newbury. I think we both felt that maybe in hindsight, Gavin Sheehan could have got at him a little bit sooner because he flew home to finish third. Goes up in trip. He was entering the 2 mile 4 handicap hurdle as well, and I thought he might go there. He hasn't. He's come for this 3 mile. I then looked to see whether that was because they wanted to keep Gavin on, and Gavin had one for Jamie Snowden, who he's retained to in the 2 mile 4, and he doesn't. So this is absolutely by design and by decision. As I just said to you before we came on, Tom Simmons is absolutely encyclopedic on pedigrees. There will be a very good reason why he wants to go from 2 to 3 rather than 2 to 2.5. I quite like Navajo Indy. The ground could do with a bit more juice in it, but this 3 mile trip, he'll come home really strongly. He likes a flat left-handed track, as he's proven this season. So 14 to 1, I thought seemed a very fair price.
There is a strong likelihood that I will jump on that bandwagon once again with you after we both played him last time. He was a huge eye catcher, wasn't he? And stepping up in trip could be the difference with Navajo Indy. So I like that selection a lot at a big price. Nothing more from Aintree for myself, but it is Dubai World Cup day over at Meydan. So I think that deserves a mention. Forever Young should win the big race. He's a short price, but he draws well. I think he's the best dirt horse in the world. Fingers crossed he can win that, because I have got an anti-post ticket on the Breeders' Cup Classic at the end of the year. There is also another great race on the card, a sprint between Straight No Chaser and Tuz. Tuz being the local horse that has been winning race after race after race, goes off the front end. Straight No Chaser will challenge him early, the American horse for Dan Blacker, and hopefully we get a real head-to-head between those two useful sprinters. But the selection I'm going to give you is Calandigan. He runs in the Dubai Shima Classic at 550 at Meydan. He's also top quality. We saw that last year. His run behind City of Troy at York was excellent. And I think first time up is where we're going to see, maybe not 100% in terms of fitness from Calandigan, but we're going to see that this horse is trained on and he's a real big threat in the middle distance races this year. That's that then. 3 Aintree daily podcasts done for you this week. Hopefully you've enjoyed them all. If this is the first one you've watched, please subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any of SBK's future podcasts, whether that be Miller's Movers for Ross, or whether that be an SBK betting podcast like this. Also like the video as well if you enjoyed it as well. And hopefully we can provide plenty of winners over the course of this episode and the previous 2. A quick reminder that SBK is offering a free bet builder for all customers on the Grand National on Saturday at 4 o'clock. You just need to opt in to get that bet builder, 3 legs to apply and for it to work as a free offer. SBK is also providing new customers with £30 in free bets when you sign up and bet your first £10. And just head over to the SBK app so you make sure you don't miss out on any of the promotions, offers, and also you can listen to our podcast there on the horse racing page. SBK is a completely new sports betting experience with sport at its heart. There's not a casino or a roulette wheel in sight. It's purely about sports betting. Sport is what SBK is all about. Thank you very much. Hopefully you've enjoyed the podcast and enjoy Grand National Day.